Yeah.
He's like, oh, it just calmed the down.
Yeah. By the way, we can't use any of that.
No yeah. Great. I didn't realize we were on. There might be some stuff in there. I didn't swear every time I spoke.
We got the beat button. Connie's going to be using the beat button for the first time.
Welcome back to As You Mic It in the Spotlight, where we shine a light on the creative minds powering Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival's 2025 Summer Theater Series. I'm Connie Berenger, Associate Producer here at PSF, and today's episode turns the spotlight onto Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, Tom Stoppard's absurdist existential comedy that flips Hamlet inside out and follows two of its most overlooked characters as they wrestle with fate, free will, and theatrical limbo. This production opens July 19th on our main stage, performed in repertory alongside Hamlet, with a shared cast navigating both worlds in rotating performances. Artistic director Jason King-Jones sits down with two remarkable artists, helping bring this witty and provocative play to life. Later this episode, you'll hear from award-winning scenic designer Brian Sydney Bembridge, whose bold and fluid design transforms the stage into a surreal playground where time bends and meaning slips through your fingers. But first, we turn to the celebrated Philadelphia artist and longtime friend of the festival, Ian Merrill Peakes, who takes on the role of the player. Part philosopher, part trickster, he's the charismatic ringleader of a traveling troupe that delights in illusion, mischief, and mirroring the chaos of the world around them.
I'm delighted to welcome back a familiar face to PSF audiences, Ian Merrill Peakes, whose turn as the player in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead adds a delicious layer of mischief, wisdom, and theatrical flourish to this summer's repertory. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you. And sometimes he stumbles over his words.
Great. We're recording this on the morning after our first preview audience. So we're in that place where we are learning so much about how the show actually works because we finally have an audience to respond to what's happening.
Correct.
And we're like, oh, they're with us. They're paying attention. Or like that bit didn't work at all. Or oh, they're holding it. They're following, you know.
The other thing that happened is because I talk to the audience a lot, sort of not to them, but through them or whatever it is.
Sure.
It's not direct address, but it's sort of a meta direct address, I guess.
It is, yeah.
And everyone looked like a room full of stoned people. They were all just grinning. And so at moments they're like, I lost, I didn't get that one, but this is fun. And it's great. And I love this play. And I think Sean and Maboud are such a wonderful team, and everyone's investing themselves in a certain way, and it looks stunning.
It's
when I come in from the house, it's one of my favorite parts because I get to just go, look at that, that looks great. I get to go on that stage and play.
Yeah. It's also funny. I was just talking with Michael Doherty, who played Leo Bloom in The Producers and is going to be in Time of Athens.
You're such a name dropper.
Well, this is a podcast for our audience.
This is what you're supposed to do. I was joking. Come on, it's before 11. You're lucky I'm here.
This is true. I was talking with Michael last night, and he was like, this is my favorite play, and I've never seen it before.
That's so funny.
Right? Like that people know this play a lot, especially theater people. And well, let's be honest, this is a play that many theater people love because it talks about the work that we do. But it also references, the famous Hamlet. I also know people who we have folks who are patrons of our organization who, when they were married, the day they were married on their honeymoon, basically, they went to see the original Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. So, like, it is a thing that for theater lovers as well. But it doesn't always get produced. It doesn't get done that often
because it's a beast.
Yes,
and well, it's Stoppard's first.
His first major play.
Yeah.
He wrote some other minor pieces, but this is his first major play.
And so he was in his 20s when he wrote this, which is obscene.
Yes.
But there are moments where you're like, oh, it's overwritten, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 60s when it was first done, 60s, 70s, audiences they didn't have streaming devices and things, so they could sit through a play of this length and magnitude.
Yeah.
And our audiences are just a little bit different because we're all used to sound bites and stuff right now.
Yeah, 90-minute no intermission.
That's right. But so the idea that the audience stuck with us from beginning to end last night is really encouraging.
Yeah.
Even with the mistakes and the pool thing coming off and the glue on the, that's what's great about live theater. People also eat up when things go haywire.
Oh, there are people who come to first preview.
They
want to know.
Well, let me tell you a quick story about Mike Doherty. What an awful human. No, he and I were supposed to do Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead at the Folger in 2015.
Okay.
He was Rosencrantz and I was the player. And then he got an offer to go to Utah Shakes, and he called me, and he was all worked up. He was much younger, 10 years ago, and he was like, what do I do? And I was like, you take the job in Utah. It's 6 months versus 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And you haven't gone west. So go expand. And now he's had this incredible career out of Utah and Milwaukee, and he's made all these connections, and it was the right choice.
Yeah, and that's actually where I met Mike, was in Utah. I went to go visit Utah Shakes after the season last year, after the 2024 season, and they have this program called the REACH program, which is an acronym for real energized artists crying higher, or something like that.
That's a reach.
That's a reach, right? But they have this program at Utah Shakes that basically pays for casting directors, artistic directors to fly out to Utah.
That's amazing.
See the whole slate of shows, and you have to audition their entire company, which is like great because they bring in such great talent.
Sure.
And they're there for 6 months, so they don't get a chance to audition in person anywhere. Video auditions are a lot more commonplace now, but still being able to like be face to face and see an actor in
That's
a rap
amazing.
is fantastic. And so I got to actually see Mike do a number of roles. And then, whenever Jen was like, I want to cast him in Leo, I was like, sure, absolutely. He's fantastic. Yeah. There's no question. So, but yeah, so it's funny. So this is not your first time being the player.
Correct.
You did it at the Folger. Can you talk about what it's like to return to this kind of a piece?
Well, I'm grateful that it's been 10 years, and I don't remember my past. No, I'm much like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. My wife wakes me up, and I just take to the day. I loved it. I was sort of the moment in my theatrical career. I was just sort of going, do I want to do this anymore?
Oh yeah.
And it restarted my desire to be an actor. And I had done Rosencrantz 10 years before that in a production that was okay. But I've returned to roles before, and often I retain more, and I want to try and go, I know what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
But it's so great when you get a chance to come back to something with some knowledge, and sort of the energy you have to put forth, but no preconceived notions. Mm-hmm. I came into this with, it's going to be different guys.
Right.
And they're so different. The guys we had in the Folger were great. These guys are exceptional. Mm-hmm. And these guys are older. It's interesting.
Yeah.
There's something about,
yeah.
I think often Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are going to be late 20s, sort of where they are, late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And neither of these guys are.
Yeah.
And they have a life and they have experience. And I think that that helps the immediacy of the desperation of these two men.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also there's a seasonedness quality to the work that they're doing, right? That
Absolutely.
They have so much to pull from. And they're also just so open to each other. They're such great listeners.
Oh, they're so good. It's so fun to watch them say these incredible words, and they make the language a joy as opposed to a chore. And in the previous iteration, I was more of a mentor in a way to these two young actors,
right?
On stage and off,
right?
And this is just my peers,
right?
So it just is a completely different interaction quality,
right?
And I knew that on day one, so it has been it's a completely different show.
Wow,
and I love that. But usually when I come back to a show, the lines are like so spot on. And last night, as we saw, I had a couple. I took a few things for a walk because that's how different it's like doing the show for the first time in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'm 10 years older, right? 10 years ago, I was doing flips and all sorts of crazy. I can stuff, and I'm still. I mean, listen, I'm very grateful for what this body is still doing at my age, but there are limitations. And
sure.
So I have to take different tacks. And like hopping out of the barrel last time, I was like, I didn't like that. And I'm like, it's the only way I can get out without knocking off the pool noodle.
The live theater, the kinds of stuff we do. Got pool noodles on on barrels.
There are definitely moments in this show where you just sort of look around. I'm a grown man, and this is what I do for a living. What?
Yeah. Speaking of what you get to do for a living, this is the player, and you get to play the player in Hamlet in rotating rep. Can you talk about their similarities, their differences? How has it been to actually like live in those two worlds on a nightly basis?
I find them to be very, very different, and they have different roles. In that one, I'm helping Hamlet open up the play, and prove one of his theories, that he learned from a ghost, and there were ideas that I don't think we've had time to fully flesh out that may or may not have been interesting, and I think Hamlet's an interesting enough play that you don't need to add too many layers to it, but we just didn't have time to impact the play with the players as much as I think Lindsay was interested in doing. Yeah. Losing an actor and all the other things that we had to deal with. But I actually really, really enjoy doing that guy because he just comes in. I just hook on to Biko, which is easy to do because he's so charismatic and he's so good. And then I have a job to help him out. And the other, in RNG, I feel like I'm a facilitator of chaos a little bit. I come in and I try to shake these guys up and wake them up on a level that's very energetic. And the other one guy is more laid back. I feel like they're not even cousins, really. I feel like they're two separate people entirely. And that's really great for me. Yeah. I think that's what I have to say about that.
That's all. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, because the audience, one of the things that I teach it to my directing students is in the absence of us ascribing meaning to something, the audience will put meaning on it.
That's a huge thing that actors all need to learn as quickly as they can. Is work is done for you before you come on stage if you're talked about at all. Yeah, audiences will assume something. And you either have to play against it or just let it be a known. I played Tartuffe once. He's not on for 50 pages. Right. And he comes on, and they just started laughing. I just walked on stage, and I was like, what? Is my fly down? And I was much younger, and I was like, oh, all this work is done. Every line is layered with meaning to the audience, however I do it. Yeah. So let the text do the work for you, and you enter with, they have a knowledge of you. Yeah. Now, neither the player in either play, the audience has any idea who they are. So there's more work to do there. But it's a foundational thing that actors could stand to learn. I'm a huge believer in reading through the text and finding anytime anybody says anything about your person. Yes. For development, for how you're perceived, all that stuff is really, really important.
Yeah. What people say about you, what the playwright says about you.
Right, because I always take the text of the play. There's research to be done and whatever, but the text of the play is the Bible. Yep. And if the playwright wrote it, he means it, or she means it, or they mean it. And so I really trust in, especially if it's a good play. Yeah. I mean, we've all done some clunkers, but if it's a good play, then you can really, really trust the writer and follow that as a guide. Right, right.
Well, then sometimes you have those narrators that you can't quite trust, right? Or you have a character who says stuff about you that they have an ulterior motivation, but then you understand that at least some people say this about you, even if it's maybe not
Iago,
true.
You right?
For example,
honest Iago. But then every time he gets to be with the audience, he looks and goes, do you hear that? Yeah. And so that's fun to play against. But if you have a writer that you can trust, like Shakespeare, people would argue it wasn't Shakespeare. Whatever. We're not going to get into that. Because we have a body of work. I'm calling it Shakespeare. And you can trust that he's going to give you the information you need to play against the truth.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Absolutely. This is, you said your 151st performance. Not your 151st time here at PSF, but you've been at PSF quite often. Is that, this is my third season and you've been here every season that I've been here.
You're a groupie. I like it. This next year, when you hire me back, will be year 30. I mean, I've been coming here since 96. I met my wife here in 1996. She wasn't my wife when we met. It took a while.
That's good to know.
And then I took a little bit. I was here sort of a lot from '96 to '05. I think I did 7 seasons, and then there was a bit of a hiatus. I did 1 season in '09, and then I've been back quite consistently since 16.
And you're based out of Philadelphia, right? Or in the Philadelphia suburbs, right?
Well, we live in New Jersey, but we're 10 minutes outside of Philly, in Merchantville, New Jersey.
And so you're a theater artist with a fellow theater artist as a spouse, raising a child. This seems like an impossibility unless you've been living that experience. Can you talk about just the journey of parenting and having a career in the theater, and what have you and Karen Peakes had to do to kind of navigate all of that?
Well, and this is the thing that whenever I talk to young actors, I go, so the choice is you go to a big city and you don't work a lot, and maybe you get discovered and maybe you become famous, and you're probably going to get good at being a waiter or a caterer. I don't have the opportunity to walk around a corner in Philadelphia and be noticed and picked up and be in a movie. There's some of that in Philly, but I wanted to act, and I wanted to go to a smaller market.
Yeah.
I had the weirdest connection into Philly. I lived with a woman who was roommates. She had been an apprentice at my dad's theater. We became friends, just friends, to be clear. And she and my mom also became friends because my mom worked at the theater. They became friends. They lived together in New York. They've got a brownstone, and I lived in their basement. And one day she went to school with Aaron Posner, a director, and they had lunch together. And he said, "I'm directing Tennessee Williams, The Glass Manager." And he said, "I want to bring somebody new in." She said, "You should see my roommate." And this was 1995. So I guess my first season here was 95. And so I went to Philly. I met Aaron. We drove out here. I auditioned. I spent the sort of whole day with him. He cast me the next day as the gentleman caller. And that was my first foray into the Philadelphia area. And then I was cast into something at the Arden. And then I was like, why don't I move where I work?
Yeah.
And so in 98, Karen and I moved here, and we have been here ever since. And I haven't done anything but act since 99, and Karen hasn't done anything but act since 2002. She does audiobooks now, too.
Yeah. And do you do film work as well?
I've done a little bit here and there. I have a series with Mark Ruffalo coming out called Task on HBO I think it's going to come out in September. It was supposed to come out a while ago. TV takes longer.
Sure.
And that was really fun. And Mark Ruffalo's a lovely dude. And I speak in it. I'm not just a prop.
Exactly. That's great.
But raising a kid, you can do that in Philadelphia. The cost of living is still high, especially now, but it's doable. And you learn how to function on not a ton of money because we're happy in many other ways. And we have family close by, and they've financially helped us out by taking care of Owen.
Right.
We lost a second car, but my mom and my stepmom live in the neighborhood. They're like, borrow our car whenever you need it. So we didn't have to buy one. Little things like that that just, that really, really add up. And then we have this dude who's 17 years old who lives in our house. I don't know where he came from. And Owen is just a treasure. He's a superstar tennis player. He's got a great grade point average. He's looking at colleges, and we've made it through somehow, and we're having a blast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned that your dad ran a theater. Can we talk a little bit about just how you've got a son now who's kind of like lived adjacent to a theater family. Right. You were actively in a theater family and a part of a theater family. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my dad and a friend of his, Richard Thompson, founded the Boar's Head Theater in 1966. And I was born in 69, and I was literally at the theater every day. I used to say in my bio, born backstage in a trunk, because it literally was. They would hand me a hammer, and I would knock down walls at strike. And the theater was a big old barn in a several acre park, and they would literally get there. My mom did props, and my dad directed and acted, and she also ran the box office. And there were outbuildings, and there were places to go walk. And I think I was feral. But I had a great childhood, and then I would go to all the rehearsals and see all the shows. I remember it's weird. I'm not a musical person at all, but Godspell, I went to every rehearsal, and it was this troupe of actors. They could all sing. They were being paid like $25 a week. Oh my God. I mean, there was no money at all. Yeah. There's a great. Anyway, so let me finish. I went to every rehearsal and every performance, and I felt like I was a part of it, and that's probably why I'm an actor right now. Yeah. I thought about professional golf for a minute, but I wasn't really probably good enough. There was a dude and I don't know his name, but he had played for the Buffalo Bills, and he decided he wanted to be an actor. And he had a knee injury, excuse me. So he started acting again, and he came and did a season at the Boar's Head. And then his knee, surgically, medically, he could go back and play.
Really?
So he goes to my dad's office, and he was making $25 a week, and he's like, Mr. Peakes, I'm so sorry. I have to go back and play for the Buffalo Bills for my family. My dad was like, go. Go. But there was a genuine passion about that place. There's a Facebook page. That's called I Worked at the Boar's Head. That is, all these people that have been in the past, and they constantly put. There was a great picture of my dad today, oddly enough, looking like Peter Dinklage. I'll show you later. I was like, what? My dad never looked like Peter Dinklage, but in that photo, it's sort of stark and amazing. And there's it's the history of a theater, right? There's ups and downs and all this stuff and turmoil, but there's a great passion for it. And it's great people came through there. Mary Beth Hurt, William Hurt, Tony Heald, all these people that I grew up watching. And then the locals, Carmen Decker and Buck Scherner and Laurel Merlington and all these folks that were just fantastic craftspeople.
Yeah.
And so I would sit in rehearsal and watch what to do, sometimes what not to do.
Sure.
And my dad started hiring me, but I didn't book my first 3 gigs. I auditioned, and he was like, I'm going with someone else. And I thought, where's the nepotism, bro? I mean, this works in every other business. So he just wanted to make sure I was ready.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. And we did a 2-hander together called Two Beers and a Hook Shot. And we did a 3-hander or 4-hander, I guess, called Vikings, which is when I went equity. And I was talking to Ian Rose, the fight guy. Remember I said I wanted a real slap in the play?
Yes.
My dad and I did a scene where he slapped me, and then there was a beat, and I slapped him back. And we did real slaps.
Yeah.
And my dad, I would stand there and take it every night. And then he knew there was a beat, and then he would flinch. And he started moving so much that I actually missed him one night. So I decided the closing night to take out the beat. He hit me, and I smacked him right back, and it was so great. His look on his face, you son of a... little tricks. I was learning tricks at 21, brother.
Absolutely. So to wrap up this conversation, because we got to get back in, do some more rehearsals before our next preview. Can you reflect a little bit on playing the player and just where you are in your life right now and what this play has kind of revealed to you about you, about yourself as an artist? The play goes into some pretty big thinking places or some deep feeling places.
Sure. Right now, I'm still in the process of learning my function in this role.
Yeah.
I think this question in 2 weeks will be more answerable.
Oh, sure.
But what I do know is I'm at a really happy place in my life right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I was when I did it in 2015 because I was questioning, raising a family, sometimes things happen, and we moved. We were so focused on Owen, we lost focus on ourselves. I didn't know that theater was my thing anymore, and so he was definitely a darker player.
Yeah,
I think this player, because we're in a honeymoon phase in our marriage, and my son is an absolute joy to me on a daily basis, mostly. Owen, and. There's an open-heartedness to this guy that I'm noticing. There's more joy in the journey. Mm-hmm. The last guy, his joy was in watching them suffer a little bit. And in fact, we talked about this too. There were moments when there were slaps in the show. Yeah. And we're not doing that. And I hadn't thought about it until you just asked me this, but they're not necessary because this guy he's like, just wait. He's doing it with his words and his joy, and he's like, "Come on, you can live like this. You can just be free." Yeah. And I feel like that's who I am right now. Yeah. I feel a lot of joy in my life on a daily basis, and it's amazing how different the tone becomes when you walk on stage. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Langella who said, you bring what your day was. If you got a fight with your wife, that's informed in the work. Yeah. If you have, but you have to stay within the parameters of what you've decided. But there's always going to be a little different color. And it's interesting. I hadn't thought about it at all. But this player is so much more joyful than the player in 2015.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I think that it works so beautifully.
Well, with the guys we have, too.
Absolutely. With the guys we have.
Yeah, the other guy was much more tortured. And it's funny. I mean, Freud would have a field day with that. He'd be like, well, of course he was. You love your mother. No, And I do. I love my mother. She's a pain in my butt, but I love her. She knows that. Anyway, so I think that's what it is. It's where you are in your life can completely change the character you're playing, even if you've already played it before.
Yeah. Well, it's such a joy for our audience.
That's cracking my skull a little bit. That's pretty amazing. I had never thought about it.
Well, that's
Thanks,
what happens
JKJ.
when we have some good in-depth conversations.
And I didn't swear during any of that.
Yeah, we have very little we have to bleep out. Ian Merrill Peakes, thank you so much for being a part of our As You Might It in the Spotlight podcast. And please come check out our rep of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead and Hamlet.
Do it. You got 2.5 weeks left.
In this act, we're joined by our scenic and lighting designer, Brian Sydney Bembridge, the brilliant artist behind the smart and surreal space of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead and Hamlet, now performing in rotating repertory at Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you.
And happy birthday. We're recording this on the day of the celebration of your birth. So thank you for spending your birthday both with us on the podcast and while we're still in preview performances for RNG. Brian, this is your second time with the festival. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Some of our audiences may know you. Some of our listeners may have remembered the last time you were here. It was Three Musketeers.
And As You Like It.
And As You Like It.
Yeah.
May recall those designs, which were gorgeous productions. Many of our listeners might not actually know you and know your background. I wonder if you could just share a little bit what you do as a designer. You're doing lighting and set design. That seems like something that doesn't quite often happen, at least here at PSF. So I wonder if you can just kind of talk about your background and how you kind of got yourself to where you are now.
Yeah. So I grew up in theater my whole childhood in a small town in New Hampshire and toured around the world with a group of which I don't speak of anymore as a dancer. I toured with people out of high school. So I went to Europe for 6 months and
Were you a dancer yourself?
I was. And I also did technical stuff there too. But I grew up in a community theater group with my mom. We built stuff in the garage. And then later in life, I wasn't sure what was next. I always said I acted. I was never an actor. So I was never really great at the profession. And I used to design my room and all kinds of things growing up. And so that led me to an art school in North Carolina. And I was accepted as a lighting designer, which I went forth with, and then decided to switch over to scenic design because I wanted a more hands-on, tactile education.
Yeah.
Because lighting obviously is very theoretical.
Right.
And back then, lights were changing, we didn't have a lot of moving lights back then. Our quality of lighting was very different from what it is today. So it was, it's an interesting world to be in today with this technology. I went to Chicago instead of New York or LA, where a lot of people tend to go. Excuse me. I was the only member of my school to go to Chicago in D&P, design and production.
Yeah.
There were a few dancers that went, and my ex-wife is still a dancer. So it was a great city for us. And I kind of did all kinds of weird jobs. My first job was with anthropology when there were only 4 of them. That led to doing displays, and then I just did photo styling, and then I worked for a very high-end interior designer, Alessandra Branca, who's fabulous and taught me so much. I mean, I still use what I learned from her in my theater design. I left there and did a film in North Carolina. I did a Muppet movie, and that changed my career because I came back to Chicago and people said, oh, you can design our $500 show when you worked on a $40 million movie. So, and that kind of escalated. And then I grew up with 2 companies in Chicago, Timeline Theater Company, who specifically deals with stories about history and the future of history, and Looking Glass Theater, which is a very physical theater company.
Right.
And and then that sort of sprouted into where I am today.
And you're still based in Chicago?
Ish,
yes. In Chicago land?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
I don't know if I can legally say that anymore. We live in Indiana on the Michigan border on Lake Michigan.
Well, that's beautiful.
In the woods.
That's amazing.
It's a gift.
When I was working with you on stage, we were both putting in a little bit of sweat equity, getting Hamlet and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead built. You had mentioned kind of flippantly about being in the circus. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what kind of experience you've had with the circus and how that's also kind of played into the work you do.
So, yes. I mean, I think I turned to you every time and said, oh, don't worry about me in this ladder. I work in the circus. That's not a step, Brian. I work in the circus. So through Looking Glass Theater, kind of started learning about the circus in a theatrical way.
Yeah.
We weren't intense. We were in theaters, but we were designing apparati that had never been designed before for this show called La Luna Muda, based of a Calvino story, Distance from the Moon. And, that led to some other projects, Hephaestus, this crazy circus we did at Goodman. And I started meeting the Walendas.
Okay.
So Liana Walenda, her ex-husband was part of the company, and so she did a lot of circus. And I'll never forget during Hephaestus, I said, there was a high wire. I mean, it's kind of a low wire for the theater that we were in. But I said, okay, as a designer in the space, I was doing scenery and lighting. I said, I need to know, what do we do? Like, what if you fall? I need to know what we do. And she said, well, you don't fall. I said, I get that. I know, but what do? You don't fall. So that really started my career with them, and they did a 6-person pyramid on the high wire. So that took me to meeting Nick Walenda, who came and did Hephaestus with us. And Nick, for those who don't know, is the wire walker that walks over the Grand Canyon and Niagara Falls. And now I don't like those shows because that's TV lighting, but I'm there. The only one we have not been to was the Volcano because I had a show at Alabama Shakespeare, so I couldn't be there for that. But Nick and I were like, oh my God, we've been working together for 20 years. And we were the first time we tried Hephaestus was in this little theater in Michigan. It was a brand new space. We did a site visit. He came up with all these things. We had to drill through this brand new floor to the basement for the high wire get water tanks down. It's a whole long story. But we realized the night before, so it was one night of load-in and tech, and then and tech during the day, and then open that next night. It was one night only. And we realized that night that the high wire couldn't go where he thought it could go. So he and I stayed up all night, and he used to be an IATSE electrician and carpenter. Okay. So we moved all the electrics, the two of us, to get the wire where it needed to be. And so we've bonded since that. And they're family. I mean, I have a circus family. The Walendas are family. Like when they fell off the wire in Sarasota doing this, I think they were doing a 7. I flew down the next day because I had to be there.
Get you to be there.
Yeah. It was complicated for a spouse of mine, but she didn't quite get that. But it is what it is. And grateful for that time.
Isn't it funny though, like in the industry that we have, where we create so many artistic pieces that are short-lived, what really lasts are the relationships that you bond.
100%.
Right?
I tell students that all the time if I teach a class or go lecture in a college or university, that it is 100% the people. I mean, the show is important.
Of course.
But those relationships that, and we all know them because we pick up where we left off on the last show, where we were. And you just continue that beautiful relationship and friendship and, love and profound love in this business.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that because this is our first time working together.
Right.
It was Lindsay Smiling who introduced you as a collaborator.
So Lindsay and I met as a designer actor at Art and Theater in Philadelphia. And we were doing Mary Zimmerman's Metamorphoses. And so it's a very specific show with a pool of water and there's a lot of trust in there. And he was just amazing in his many roles. Everyone plays many roles as an ensemble. And then he asked me to do a show at 2 shows that were 2 1-acts on stage at New Jersey Shakespeare.
Yeah, these Alice Childer short plays. I saw them.
And unfortunately, we found out the cancer had come back and I had to go have surgery the week of tech. So they already had the light plot. It was all hung. He totally understood and I felt awful. And they brought someone in to finish the project. They just had to cue the show, which I hear was not the most fun they've ever had. But but Lindsay and I have always been in touch. We tried to do another job together at Wilma that went to, I think it was Woolly Mammoth or somewhere in New York. I don't remember. But it just didn't work out timing-wise. And so I was, I was very excited when he called.
Great.
Or texted first, say, would you be interested? Are you available?
Right.
And and then that journey started.
And he asked to do scenic and lights. Is that something you prefer to do? Like, do you prefer to have that much kind of creative ownership over over a project? Would you rather just do one or the other?
I tend to try and do both as often as possible. But understandably, the way, we're building a theater community, we want more diversity into a designer project, for designers.
Sure.
I often design scenery thinking about lighting because really when I was starting at Looking Glass and Timeline, I could only get lighting jobs. And I wanted to be known as a set designer. But then I started winning awards for lighting and that became more complicated. Right. And so often later in life, Timeline and Looking Glass, I would say, or somebody would see something and say, well, would you do lights? And I said, well, I really want to do scenery. Mm-hmm. Okay, would you do both? Sure. Yeah. So I've been doing it for so long. I mean, back when everything was by hand.
Sure.
That it's just a way of life. And having both those thoughts and theories, I know how to light what I'm doing. I'm grateful every time I get to do it. Yeah. But I often do one or the other too.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about the collaboration. This collaboration, although you were responsible for scenic and lighting, we also had Nancy Leary, a costume designer, who designed both of the shows, and then we had a sound designer for Hamlet and a sound designer for The Rep, Liz Atkinson and David Greenberg, respectively. And then you had two directors. So we had this kind of cohort of creatives trying to tell these two stories and to make these two plays happen. Can you talk a little bit about the creative process from your vantage point?
Sure. The cool thing about the sound designers is that I feel like they both kind of got into each other's worlds and saw each other's work or listened to and were in rehearsals for each other's plays. Not that the sound designs are, exactly alike, but I just love that they could piggyback off each other.
Yeah.
Nancy and I have never worked together, but I think oddly, we kind of knew what the scenery was and the costumes, we know were going this direction. But then the lighting, I never saw colors or whatever until they were on stage. And now, I just feel like our lighting of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern specifically are so part of her costume world. Yeah. Those colors that I didn't know was going to be there. But so last time I was here, I don't know that I've made the right decisions or not. But last time I was here, I was trying to. Normally, there's they bring in a unit set for one show and that rolls off or breaks into pieces and goes off and they bring in the Shakespeare that's a little bigger or something. Yeah. So that first year I was here, I thought I was being smart in reusing the floor and this back wall that was designed and these legs. Mm-hmm. And then everything that was in the middle would be redesigned for each show. So I thought it was such a good idea. It seemed like a good idea. And it worked well for most of the time, but then it felt a little stressful changing over that show. It was a lot for the crew to do because one was all rolling and one were these huge tree structures that had to go up and down, right. And parts of them moved, and so it was a lot. So, right or wrong, I decided we should do the same thing for this rep. In a weird way, and we've talked about this, so I'm not saying anything you haven't heard. You rolled with the punches and a little in a way got the short end of the stick because we kind of did Hamlet first and had to decide what Rosencrantz and Guildenstern had to be. Yeah. Now, with what we ended up with, I've been talking to I've said this probably a million times. Especially when building the model and looking at all the pieces and all the stuff. I feel like our set for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is the ghost of the world of Hamlet. Yeah. It's not the ghost in Hamlet, but it is a leftover sort of desolate, curious place to be. And I think that's fun for the audience to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, in some ways, it was intentional from my vantage point, just to respond that I wanted Lindsay to really decide what world Hamlet wanted to be in, and we looked at brutalist architecture. We were going to put a box in a box. we had so many different kinds of settings that we would go down pretty far down the path with that before we were like, no. Then Lindsay's like, I need pieces that can move. How about some rolling wall? How we find some more flexibility? And so I think what we ultimately settled on was absolutely fantastic, and it was the right decision. But many of our design meetings were well, what are we doing for Hamlet first before we can really decide on Rosencrantz?
Yeah.
And because I did want it to be in conversation and not feel like it was its own world, because that was the point of doing these two plays in rep, was letting these plays talk to each other. I think the idea of the world for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern being a ghost of the Hamlet world is really kind of perfect too,
right.
for the world that we're creating. And there's also, we've been able to create, Act 3 has its own location, and we were able to solve for what that is, and are really fun, I think.
Me too. We just kind of went there. With what the world was, and then we were, what if?
Right.
I don't know. Do you think? Could we? Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. The script calls for, in Act 3, a wooden sailing ship that feels of the Elizabethan kind of world.
Yes.
This is the ship that Hamlet and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern take on the way to England. But because we were in this kind of post-industrial, world with these steel columns, it did not feel right to suddenly bring in a lot of ropes and ahoy me mateys. So we decided to go for a kind of a container ship feel and really throw us into a different place. But that's also part of, I think, what's fun about this production is every time you start to set expectations, the next scene happens that upends those expectations. And for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, you can never really trust your eyes. So we continue to have this surprise.
And we bring a little. You've chosen to bring a little bit of Hamlet into our production, like the way we've designed Hamlet. There's little nods to that production. But if you didn't see it, you might not know.
Right.
Kind of why it's worth. Get your tickets now. See both shows.
Absolutely.
Look at the Easter eggs,
and see both versions of the players too.
Right.
Like our tragedians. Which is also really kind of delightful. About after about 10 minutes of the play, suddenly the tragedians show up, and if you'd seen Hamlet, you're like, well, these are some of the actors are the same, but they're wearing very different clothes. Yep. They're in a very different time period, and that's just part of the fun that we've been having with
both
this.
Just as funny.
Absolutely, just as funny, just as delightful and just as funny. You talked about working with Alexander Branca on what you've lessons that you've learned. Is there something that you can kind of look at what we've done with the rep and some of the lessons from the design work that you learned working with her?
Working with all that money and people and pressure and prestige is a little different than theater. We make things for ourselves. We do make it to share with everybody else.
Sure.
And it's a collaborative process.
Yes.
But it's for us. And when we make things we were making things for other people. But she taught me so much about architecture and the way to blend architecture with fabrics and textures and pattern and color in ways that I wouldn't get in a theater training program So I'm grateful for that. I've written to her and I've seen her a few times. One time I did this Romeo and Juliet at Chicago Shakespeare that was right out of broken architecture in Italy. And I was like, you have to come see this because this is what we did. This is my version of what we did.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And then the scenery of this production of both of these plays feels very epic. It feels like it's taken on a kind of operatic kind of scale in the main stage. Which I think is just absolutely beautiful, and I think it's a gift for our community.
Well, it's trying to break that plane in a way, excuse me, that maybe I haven't seen here in other productions. I wanted it to feel big and epic, and I just think when you come into the theater, it just feels a little different from other shows I've been here.
Yeah. I hope so too. I hope it feels like that for other folks as well. Both of these plays deal with mortality in different ways. They speak with the stuff of life and what gives us purpose and meaning. Hamlet was always like that. It's kind of its classic in that kind of dialogue and conversation. We always think about to be or not to be, and then Stoppard kind of does that in a 1967 kind of absurdist kind of way, but still dealing with the same themes, just in his own way. Here you are in a battle with stage 4 cancer. And you are outspoken about your journey in that, and sometimes it interrupts your process, gets in the way, but you still are so determined in being here. You went away on a Monday for chemotherapy and flew back the same day, got a little bit of rest, and thank God for Tom Weaver, who was able to kind of help out.
Amen to Tom.
But you still were so committed to seeing through this process. I wonder if you can just share a little bit about about how you navigate all of that stuff, being an artist, being true to yourself, and working on maintaining your health through all of that as well.
Excuse me. So this is 5 years now. It was 5 years in June that I've had it. When we started, we knew I had cancer when we started this process. Yeah. We didn't know it was going to come back, and I would have to start that process over again. I mean, in a way, it's never left. But, it's funny. I always see like old actors or designers, and I'm like, or chefs, like Chef Rick Bayless, who's a friend of mine. I'm like, don't you want to just retire and take a break and enjoy the rest of your life? But it is such a part of their lives that they generally die doing the art that they love doing. Of course, I'm going to die. The thing that I try and do, and I talked to Rush. I was invited to speak at the Thrivers celebration. Mm-hmm. I want to taste everything. I want to see everything. I want to keep making everything as much as I can, as often as I can, within reason and responsibly.
Sure.
It's really hard on my husband. That's complicated for him. Being away and going through chemo, and fortunately the flights were delayed, so I got a little more time with him. I mean, it wasn't fortunate for me, but it is empowering all the time. And also, by living out loud with your cancer, I told the cast for a few reasons. I have an ostomy, so sometimes I make noises that I can't control in a theater. Yeah. Yes. And I feel like people don't want to talk about cancer, and I understand that, and they have that right, and I support them in every choice they make. But the more we talk about it, and I talked about this at Thrivers Day, it was like marriage equality. Mm-hmm. The more we talk about marriage equality, more people knew somebody or had a cousin or a brother or a sister or a best friend or whatever, and it was just normal.
Yeah.
And not that cancer is normal, but I want people to be less afraid of it. I want people to be on top of it. I want them to know they can trust doctors and nurses. And so I try to be as open about it as possible and show people you can still live. And, on the next Monday off, I went to the theme park and rode roller coasters for a morning.
You sure did.
I did. And that brings me such joy just to be a kid. And I go by myself and I do every ride. And then I came back and worked.
You sure did, and we're still at it. You were still doing notes last night, even into your birthday, the midnight cracking in. Brian, it's so great having you here. I really, I've enjoyed getting to know you and working with you on this process. And as I said, these things are about relationships, and I feel like in the course of these months of working together, we've formed a really great artistic bond and a friendship, and I'm just grateful you're here, Brian. I'm grateful for your artistry and your humanity and the example that you set. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been a treat.
That's it for this episode of As You Might It in the Spotlight. You can catch Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead in rotating repertory with Hamlet, now at Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. Tickets are available at pashakespeare.org or by calling the box office at 610-282-WILL. That's 610-282-9455. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the bold voices and hidden gems of our Undiscovered Country season. A huge thanks to our guests, Ian Merrill Peakes and Brian Sydney Bembridge, for sharing their artistry and insights, and to the TV Film Department of DeSales University for their ongoing support of this podcast. For all of us here at Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at Labuda. Thank you for listening to As You Might It, a Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival presentation recorded on the beautiful campus of DeSales University. Our music is by Cedric Lamar, with hosts Jason King-Jones, Kim Carson, and Connie Behringer. For more information on our summer theater series, giving opportunities, tickets, and more, visit pashakespeare.org. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you at Labuda.